Fake news is a hell of a thing when it comes to online movie reporting. I think many of us, many times, have been taken by an article or two that sounds kind of like too good to be true. And if you've ever read we'vegotThisCovered.com, you can see here that it's pretty much always just some kind of made up nonsense. This website just absolutely dumps fake news reports, leaks, time and time and time again, a couple hundred times a day, it feels like, simply in order to beat out Screen Rant for most bloatware, what we have in regards to articles. But we have this article that popped up a day ago, written by Christian Bone, that says female led Indiana Jones TV show reportedly in the works. And I find it funny because certain people are now picking up on this article and they're now treating it as being realistic. And it's one that it isn't. You can just kind of read it and tell. But the way that We Got This Covered operates is that they allow for enough ambiguity to be able to tangentially say, well, we got this one right, but they get so many other things wrong. They just go, oh, well, things develop and they change, so on and so forth. It does come with the territory of reporting on scoops, but it feels like in the clickbait day and age that we find ourselves in, that this kind of stuff just gets treated as being realistic. And a lot of people who do movie punditry online absolutely hate that We Got This Covered gets treated with any kind of legitimacy. So I wanted to kind of just take a look at this and then maybe let's break it down as to perhaps why it's not necessarily true. So, female-led Indiana Jones TV show reportedly in the works. Okay, fine. It says here that a source close to We Got This Covered, the same ones who told us that an Aladdin sequel is being developed, which we now know to be true, says that Disney is planning a female-led Indiana Jones spin-off show. We Got This Covered has been told that the protagonist of the series will be Indy's daughter, who will be introduced in the fifth film. Steven Spielberg is expected to board the project as a producer, and you'd expect the show will explore the aforementioned daughter picking up where her dad left off and revolve around her own adventures and exploits. Now, does any bit of that seem realistic? Right? Does any bit of that seem at all realistic? That entire paragraph right there is the brunt of the article. The guy goes on, Christian here goes on to write a bit more about it. But again, it's a whole bunch of bloat, but this is the meat of the article right here. So let's kind of break it down. For one, he says here, the same source that says that Disney's working on an Aladdin sequel, which we now know to be true, that actually ties over to this article here back from August, where the Aladdin producer says a live-action Disney sequel is in early stages, spurring hopes of Return of Jafar. Now, what the producer says in this article is that it is being discussed. Not that it's necessarily in pre-development or that it's in really development. It's just being discussed. There are different phases here. So again, it's the wording that We Got This Covered uses as a way to kind of like weasel around, I don't know, facts, right? So they go, oh, but we know that there's a sequel to Aladdin that's in development right now, and we now know that to be true, but we reported on it back then. $1 billion movie, this is Disney. A sequel seems pretty much just like an easy guess that you could totally make and be pretty much on the money. And the producer here says, yeah, we're talking about stuff right now. So nothing is close to being decided, anything at all. And if you've watched Aladdin, if you've seen Aladdin, then the end of the movie basically kind of says that there wouldn't really be much of a sequel, considering the fact that the genie is, well, from what they basically say is that the genie is no longer powerful. And the genie was a big part of Return of Jafar, as well as Aladdin and the King of Thieves and the TV show. So the genie having genie powers and being free is a part of the ensemble. Changing that doesn't really seem to make a lot of sense. So they're probably talking about it right now and hoping a way to maybe find a way to bring Will Smith back as the genie. But really, that's about it. So that's what they say here. They say it's being developed. And now we know this to be true. Again, it's very loose definition of truth. We just know that these things are in talks, and Hollywood things are always in talks. There's a great line you'll hear producers say, where they'll say they have about a minimum of 12 projects in different stages of development. What that means is they've got ideas that they're mulling around in their head, but it's just a word and a term that they use in order to make it seem like they've got more going on. It's just kind of a peacocking method in Hollywood. A lot of Hollywood is peacocking, and people who don't live in Hollywood don't get that, so they take this as being something that is factual. Now, when it comes to a female-led Indiana Jones TV show, Why would they do a female-led Indiana Jones TV show? It doesn't make any sense. Now, coming over here, what we have is we've got the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, because they've done this sort of thing before, right? If you recall, back from March 4th, 1992 to July 24th, 1993, they ran this series. And it was a good show. It had bad ratings back in the day, but it kind of found a fan base after the fact, and it was a lot of fun to watch. The show itself, with a very expensive budget, and a very expensive, and these were big set pieces. These were big episodes. Ultimately, ended up falling apart, and they're out on DVD now. But surprisingly, it's not on Disney Plus, which I think it might still be on Netflix. I know it was on there for a while, and the show is a lot of fun, but they've already tried this sort of concept before of a younger Indiana Jones. If you look at the concept of doing a female-led Indiana Jones spinoff where it's Indy's daughter, is it going to be Indy and Marion Ravenwood? Did they have another kid? Did he knock up somebody else? Did he get Elsa pregnant in Last Crusade, and she somehow survived her fall in the pit while at the site of the Grail, and somehow came out and popped out a kid, and then pops up years later? If you look at the timeline of events in regards to the Indiana Jones franchise, there's no way that this adds up unless Disney knocked somebody else up. But there's no way that they would go back to the drawing board. There's no way that they would go back to Kingdom of the Crystal Skull and reuse that same plot line about Mutt and now bring it about his daughter. It doesn't make any sense, and fans would not have it. Now, the article kind of it tries to justify this down here by saying that Disney CEO promised that the movie wouldn't just be a one-off, and Spielberg has also voiced his openness for a female Indy. But that's also in regards to just rebooting the character, which is something, again, fans do not want. Harrison Ford himself has said, Indiana Jones dies with me, so he doesn't want anyone else playing the role either. So what are they going to do with this? Well, the reality of it would be to go back when Indiana Jones was a kid, and to go back to the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles and start from there. Kind of similar to what Tom Holland is doing with the Uncharted movie over at Sony by going back to young Nathan Drake instead of playing as a mid to late 30s Nathan Drake, which is the Nolan North version that we played in the video games. So realistically speaking, having another Indiana Jones, having it be a reboot around the same age doesn't make a lot of sense, unless they want to go back to him being a kid. Having it be his daughter just feels like a slap in the face to everyone who didn't care for Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Because in Frank Darabont's original script, it wasn't Indy's son, it was Indy's brother, which is another thing that kind of felt like a little bit out of place. And as much as I enjoyed Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which I did, except for the monkeys. You'll never get me to say the monkeys are good. Obviously, there were problems people had, and there's been a reason why number 5 has kind of been stuck in limbo for the past 12 years, even though now we know it's coming July 2021. Now, this is where it gets interesting. This is from a few months ago, where according to Jason Ward, who has a very stellar track record of breaking scoops, he says here Dan Fogelman to write Indiana Jones 5. Dan Fogelman wrote Cars. He is the person behind This Is Us. He is a television creative and a very good creative nonetheless. And he was brought in to take over for Jonathan Kasdan after he left the project to go work on the Willow series for Disney Plus. And this is what has been alluded to from Jason Ward. And I did actually send this article to Jason Ward before doing this video. And I was like, hey, what do you know about this? And he's like, oh, it came from We Got This Covered. It must entirely be true. So he's laughing at it too. He knows that this is bunk. He knows that this isn't legit. And this is the person who has the know. Now, and I'm not trying to attack the author here because this is the guy's job and I get that's his game. Okay, fine. But I went and I looked up Christian Bone, the author here, right? So Christian Bone, this is on muckrack.com. So he is a freelance journalist working on arts and entertainment in the United Kingdom. He's verified on this website. He writes for What Culture, We Got This Covered, Netbox Life, Cult Box, Starburst Magazine, and The Quiz. And the cool thing here is that every time he posts an article, we get to see what he posts. They auto post it here, so you get the idea. Now, this is the kind of stuff that he writes. Look at where it comes from. Obi-Wan show will reportedly explain how Jedi became Force ghosts by Christian Bone on WeGotThisCovered.com. Robert Pattinson wants to push Batman as far as possible. That's kind of a basic thing. We know that, but again, we got this covered. Again, they mix real news and fake news together, so you're not too sure which is what. It's a great gaslighting program that allows them, again, that type of ambiguity to kind of get inside some serious wiggle room space in order to be able to get around certain things. Then you see here, Matt Smith fans are loving his appearance in the Morbius trailer, right? Yeah, he had a 2-second shot in the trailer, probably more like 1 second. Marvel fans are freaking out over blank cameo in Morbius trailer. Morbius trailer confirms as part of the MCU via cameo. Right? Again, basically the same article. He just wrote it an hour ago, 2 hours ago. I mean, look at how much he's cranking out here. First Morbius trailer expands on Sony's Marvel Universe. Disney fans are furious that Frozen 2 was snubbed by the Oscars. And here we go. Again, and yeah, people are upset about that. So real news, and then followed him, immediately preceded by fake news. Knights of the Old Republic movie and TV show confirmed to be in development. No, they're not. No, they're not. Mark Hamill confirms him and Han kissed in Star Wars deleted scene. I saw something about that. I don't even know if it's true or not. I saw something about that on Twitter from Mark Hamill. I think he might have been making a joke. Then we have the Hawkeye TV show reportedly not delayed anymore. Initial report was false. Okay, so he covered this. I did talk about him yesterday because what we have here coming down is just, again, what Sam Jackson reportedly returning to Star Wars as Mace Windu. Again, not confirmed. The female-led, this is from yesterday. Look at all those other articles that he has posted on We Got This Covered since yesterday. It's almost like he is the only dude working at We Got This Covered. This guy is Mike Zeroing the entire process, which is super fascinating to watch. All right, then we have this one, Hawkeye TV show indefinitely delayed partly due to Jeremy Renner. And again, that was proven to be absolutely nonsense. Even him and I covered this yesterday in my video about it, even Jeremy Renner's situation with his wife in the custody battle has no impact on the show and whether or not it's delayed. But Christian Bone here ran with that clearly disingenuous, clearly clickbait fake headline, right? And that's just what it is. I mean, like, we got all of these things here where it keeps going. Right? It just keeps going. This is the type of content that someone like Christian Bone puts out there. And what he does is he goes and he mixes real news and he mixes fake news and he puts it together and he hopes to God that people out there are going to, they're gonna take it. They're going to agree with him or whatever. Like, it's just what he does. And I'm not, honestly, I'm just not a fan of that. I'm just not a fan. Like, even like looking up his Twitter account, you get an idea of where's this at? Okay, like his Twitter account here, we can see that he's only got like 650 followers. He's only got like 600. He's not followed by a lot of people. He's not verified. I'm not verified either. I'm not trying to attack that, but when I say that, it's basically like he's not verified. And he doesn't even really update his Twitter. He hasn't updated it in 4 days now. There's not much going on there. He doesn't have a Twitter presence. So he's not like actively engaged. He's not like Daniel RPK or Charles Murphy or Jason Ward or Jeremy Conrad, who are very actively engaged. He's just kind of sitting there, and it just kind of feels like this dude is just making things up. And when you look at something like this headline here, this female-led Indiana Jones TV show reportedly being in the works, nothing about it makes any sense when you start kind of breaking down all the information surrounding it. And when you start breaking down the history of the Indiana Jones franchise, you look at the previous attempts at a TV show, clearly they're going to do more Indiana Jones, the likelihood of it being another kind of reboot of the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, and ultimately have it be something that can carry on the torch once Harrison Ford retires, because they're not going to want to give up the property. He may be the only one who plays Indiana Jones for now, but he won't be the one who plays him forever. And obviously, I think we all know that deep down, but they're not going to do something like this that would more or less slap fans in the face. Disney is not that dumb, not after the success of Mandalorian, which took the lore and legacy of Star Wars seriously by creatives who got it. This is just a rehash of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, but gender flipped, and people out there aren't going to have it. So no, this is not real. This is fake news. And I just spent like well over 10 minutes breaking down why this is nonsense and why We Got This Covered is nonsense. And if you see people reporting from We Got This Covered, make sure, like a doctor, you go and get it double checked by somebody else with more reputable stature, like Deadline or Variety or Hollywood Reporter. There are Slash Film, Cinema Blend, even Screen Rant on occasion, I guess, right, has what it feels to be more reputable sources than We Got This Covered. So anyway, no, I just want to put this out there. Your thoughts, your opinions, let me know down in the comments below. If you made it this far, go ahead and type indie in the chat so I know you guys made it. And be sure to like, comment, subscribe. If you really want to support the channel, if you like what I do here, you like this kind of content, consider supporting via Patreon. $1 a month really does help out. And I'll talk to you guys on later. Have yourself a fantastic day. Thank you for watching, and peace out.